Good morning, students. Today we are going to start chapter number 3 of your geography book, that is mineral and power resources. So we all know that minerals are spread worldwide. So what are the distributions of these minerals? Let us look into this. So that all we are going to study in this chapter, that what all minerals are present and where they are present, what is their distribution, and then we will read about power resources also. So Kiri was visiting Sukant in his native place near Dhanbad. Kiri was amazed to see that large areas were black. Sukant, why is this place so black and dusty? She asked. This is because of the coal mines nearby. Do you see the trucks? They are carrying the mineral coal, replied Sukant. So they are both talking to each other, and the girl is asking that why is it so black and dusty? Because that is of the coal mining. So the coal is mined there and that is done by digging. So that's why a lot of dust is there. So what are minerals? Asked Kiri. Sukant replied, have you ever seen a baker baking biscuits? The flour, milk, sugar, and sometimes eggs are mixed together. While eating the baked biscuits, can you see these ingredients separately? So it is a mixture which is found in the rocks. Just as in the biscuits, there are a number of things that you cannot see. Rocks on this earth have several materials called minerals mixed in them. So rocks are there on the earth, and these rocks contain so many things inside them which we cannot see. So these minerals are also a component of the rocks. So these minerals are scattered throughout the earth's rocky crust. So what is a mineral? A mineral is a naturally occurring substance that has a definite chemical composition. It is called a mineral. Minerals are not evenly distributed over space, means you cannot say that they are present all over the space wherever you go, but there are some locations where they are present. They are concentrated in a particular area or rock formations. Some minerals are found in areas which are not easily accessible, so such as Arctic Ocean bed and Antarctica. So these are not accessible, but still minerals are found there. So these are the characteristics of the minerals which we are studying now. So they are not evenly distributed, they are concentrated in a particular area, and minerals are formed in different types of geological environments under varying conditions. So they are found under varying conditions, not in the same conditions. They are created by natural processes without any human interference, means we don't have any role to play in the formation of the minerals. So they are produced on their own. They can be identified on the basis of their physical properties such as color, density, hardness, and chemical properties such as solubility. So the salt in your food and graphite in your pencil are also minerals which we are using. Then types of minerals. So types of minerals, there are over 3000 different minerals on the basis of composition. Minerals are classified mainly as metallic and non-metallic minerals, and further metallic is divided into ferrous and non-ferrous minerals. So metallic minerals, they contain metal in raw form. Metals are hard substances that conduct heat and electricity and have a characteristic luster or shine. Examples are iron ore, bauxite, manganese ore are some examples. Metallic minerals may be ferrous or non-ferrous. What do you mean by ferrous? Ferrous minerals like iron ore, manganese, and chromites, they contain iron. So the minerals which contain iron as a component in them, that are called ferrous minerals. They show magnetic properties. A non-ferrous mineral does not contain iron but may contain some other metals such as gold, silver, copper, or lead. Non-metallic minerals, they do not contain metals. Examples are limestone, mica, and gypsum. The mineral fuels like coal and petroleum are also non-metallic minerals. So minerals can be extracted by mining, drilling, or quarrying. So there are three processes by which we can extract the minerals from the earth. So these are mining, drilling, and quarrying. Mining is further categorized into open cast mining and shaft mining. The process, so first you should know that what is the meaning of mining. The process of taking out minerals from the rocks buried under the earth's surface is called mining. Minerals that lie at shallow depths are taken out by removing the surface layer. This is not open cast mining. So open cast mining is done for the minerals which are not so deep under the earth. They are done for the minerals which are only at shallow depths. Deep bores called shafts have to be made to reach the minerals deposits that lie at greater depths. This is called shaft mining. So shaft mining is a process which is done to extract the minerals which are embedded deep down under the earth's surface. So petroleum and natural gas occur far below the earth's surface. Deep wells are bored to take them out. So this is called drilling process. So drilling process is done to take out petroleum and natural gas far below the earth's surface, normally done near the coastal areas. Minerals that lie near the surface are simply dug out. So that lie very near to the surface are simply dug out by the tools. So that process is called quarrying. Then next is distribution of minerals. So if you talk about the distribution, minerals occur in different types of rocks. So we know that there are different types of rocks like igneous rocks, metamorphic rocks and sedimentary rocks. So generally what is there, metallic minerals are found in igneous and metamorphic rocks, and non-metallic minerals are found in sedimentary rocks like iron ore in North Sweden, copper and nickel deposits in Ontario, Canada, iron, nickel chromites and platinum in South Africa are examples of minerals found in igneous and metamorphic rocks. Sedimentary rock formations of plains and Yangful mountains contain non-metallic minerals like limestone, limestone deposits of Caucasus region of France, manganese deposits of Georgia and Ukraine, and phosphate beds of Algeria are some examples. Mineral fuels such as coal and petroleum are also found in the sedimentary strata. So strata is the layer of the sedimentary rock. So you can always tell if a rock contains copper because then the rock looks blue in color. So first continent, now we will study continent wise. Now we will study continent wise. First continent is Asia. China and India have large iron ore deposits. The continent produces more than half of the world's tin. You can see here. So China, Malaysia and Indonesia are among the world's leading tin producers. China also leads in the production of lead, antimony and tungsten. Asia also has deposits of manganese, bauxite, nickel, zinc and copper. Then Europe. Europe is the leading producer of iron ore in the world. The countries with large deposits of iron ore are Russia, Ukraine, Sweden and France. Mineral deposits of copper, lead, zinc, manganese and nickel are found in Eastern Europe and European Russia. Then North America. The mineral deposits in North America are located in three zones: the Canadian region, north of the Great Lakes, the Appalachian region and the mountain regions of the west. Iron ore, nickel, gold, uranium and copper are mined in the Canadian Shield region. Coal in the Appalachian region. Western Cordilleras have vast deposits of copper, lead, zinc, gold and silver. Okay, so you can see here that in the North America side, so here this is the North Canadian Shield and these are the Western Cordilleras and this is the Appalachian region here. Okay, so these are the regions in which North America is divided and different distribution of mineral is there. Then next comes South America. In South America, Brazil is the largest producer of high grade iron ore in the world. In that, Chile and Peru are leading producers of copper. Brazil and Bolivia are among the world's largest producers of tin. South America also has large deposits of gold, silver, zinc, chromium, manganese, bauxite, mica, platinum, asbestos and diamond. Mineral oil is found in Venezuela, Argentina, Chile, Peru and Colombia. Next is Africa. Africa is rich in mineral resources. It is the world's largest producer of diamonds, gold and platinum. Very important. South Africa, Zimbabwe and Zaire produce a large portion of the world's gold. The other minerals found in Africa are copper, iron ore, chromium, uranium, cobalt and bauxite. And oil is found in Nigeria, Libya and Angola. So a green diamond. This one, do you know? A green diamond is the rarest diamond. The oldest rocks in the world are in Western Australia. They date from 4,300 million years ago, only 300 million years after the earth was formed. The next is Australia. Australia is the largest producer of bauxite in the world. Bauxite milta hai yahan pe bahut. It is a leading producer of gold, diamond, iron ore, tin and nickel. It is also rich in copper, lead, zinc and manganese. Kalgoorlie and Coolgardie areas of Western Australia have the largest deposits of gold. So these names look like Indian names, but these are in Australia. So these are the largest deposits of gold in Australia. Then next is Antarctica. The geology of Antarctica is sufficiently well known to predict the existence of a variety of mineral deposits, some probably large. Significant size of deposits of coal in the Transantarctic Mountains. Transantarctic Mountains are the central part of Antarctica. It divides the Antarctica into West and East Antarctica. And iron near the Prince Charles Mountains of East Antarctica is forecasted. Iron ore, gold, silver and oil are also present in commercial quantities. Then what are the uses of minerals? You know that these minerals are used in everyday life, also in wide variety of uses also they are used in. So they are used in many industries which are used for gems, are usually hard. Minerals are used in the gems also, in the stone, in the rings also people wear them. These are then sent in various styles for jewelry. Copper is another metal used in everything from coins to pipes. Silicon is used in the computer industry. It is obtained from quartz. Aluminium obtained from its iron or from its ore. Bauxite is used in automobiles and airplanes, bottling industry, buildings and even in kitchen cookware. We see that. Okay, so then next is, you know that we are using the minerals, no doubt, but we need to conserve them also. So minerals are a non-renewable resource. They are going to get extinct one day. It takes thousands of years for the formation and concentration of minerals. The rate of formation is much smaller than the rate at which the humans consume these minerals. So they are forming at a very slower rate than the rate at which they are being used by the humans. It is necessary to reduce wastage in the process of mining. Recycling of metals is another way in which the mineral resources can be conserved. So next is power resources. In the power resources, the first paragraph shows the introduction part, in which there's a conversation between the mother and the son, and the son and the mother, they are using so many things which depends on this power, which depends on the energy. So we can say that our daily life depends on these gadgets, these electrical appliances. So but there is a wide gap between the demand and the supply. So there are conventional and non-conventional sources. So power or energy plays a vital role in our lives. We also need power for industry, agriculture, transport, communication and defense purposes. Power resources may be broadly categorized as conventional and non-conventional resources. So conventional sources are those which have been in common use for a long time, but they are non-renewable. They will extinct one day. They are mostly used for industrial and commercial purposes, and they are costly also. So firewood and fossil fuels are the two main conventional energy resources. Firewood, it is widely used for cooking and heating purposes. In our country, more than 50% of the energy used by villagers comes from the firewood. And remains of plants and animals which were buried under the earth for millions of years got converted by the heat and pressure into fossil fuels. So what are fossil fuels? Fossil fuels are the remains of plants and animals which were buried under the earth for millions of years, and then they got converted into fossil fuels by the heat and the pressure. So fossil fuels are coal, petroleum and natural gas. They are the main sources of conventional energy. Okay, so these comparisons are also very important. You can go through them in the book. So advantages and disadvantages are being told of oil, natural gas, firewood, coal and hydropower. So I'll be covering these points while explaining the paragraphs. So firewood, first just look at they are saying that the reserves of these minerals are limited. The rate at which the growing world population is consuming them is far greater than the rate of their formation. So as I told you that the rate of formation is very slow as the rate of being they are used up. So these are likely to be exhausted soon. So first is coal. So this is the most abundantly found fossil fuel. It is used as a domestic fuel in industries such as iron and steel, steam engines and to generate electricity also. Electricity from coal is called thermal power. Okay, so that electricity that which we get from by using coal, that is called thermal power, and the coal which we are using today was formed millions of years ago, which when giant ferns and swamps got buried under the layers of earth. So that's why it is called buried sunshine also, because of these are formed by the when the giant firms were buried under the earth, and swamps also. So how swamps are the mangrove forest or wetlands, you can say. So these giant ferns, because of they perform photosynthesis, that's why they are related to the sunshine also. The leading coal producers of the world are China, USA, Germany, Russia, South Africa, and France. The coal producing areas of India are Raniganj, Jharia, Dhanbad, and Bokaro in Jharkhand. Then next is petroleum. So petroleum that keeps your car running, as well as the oil that keeps your cycle from squeaking, both begin as a thick black liquid called petroleum. It is found between the layers of rocks, okay, and is drilled from the oil fields located in offshore and coastal areas. This is then sent to the refineries. So the material which we are getting from the earth is crude oil. That is not the same petrol which we are using in our vehicles. That is not we are getting in that from the earth. So we are getting from the earth, we are getting crude oil, and that is sent to the refineries to get refined, and then it is coming to us. So it is drilled from the oil fields located in the offshore and coastal areas. This is then sent to the refineries, which process the crude oil and produce a variety of products like diesel, petrol, kerosene, wax, plastics, and lubricants. So petroleum and its derivatives are called black gold. Why black gold? Because the color black, because when it is taken out, when crude oil is taken out, it is thick black in color, and gold because they are very valuable, costly, and useful also. The chief petroleum producing countries are Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. The other major producers are USA, Russia, Venezuela, and Algeria. The leading producers in India are Digboi in Assam, Bombay High in Bombay, and the deltas of Krishna and Godavari rivers. Next is natural gas. So natural gas is the gaseous form of the crude oil, as I've told you. So these are formed below the earth. So crude oil, when it is getting evaporated because of the hot molten lava, so it forms a layer over the crude oil. That is the gaseous layer, that is called natural gas. So natural gas is found with petroleum deposits and is released when crude oil is brought to the surface. It can be used as a domestic and industrial fuel. Russia, Norway, UK, and Netherlands are the major producers of natural gas. So you should know the word petroleum is derived from the Latin words petra meaning rock and oleum meaning oil. So petroleum means rock oil, or oil which we are getting from the rocks. So do you know CNG is known as compressed natural gas, is a popular eco-friendly automobile fuel as it causes less pollution than petroleum and diesel. So in India, Jaisalmer, Krishna, Godavari Delta, Tripura, and some areas offshore in Mumbai have natural gas resources. Very few countries in the world have sufficient natural gas reserves of their own. The sharp increase in our consumption of fossil fuels has led to their depletion at an alarming rate. As I told you that we are using it without thinking, and what is happening then, they are getting depleted at a very fast rate, at a very alarming rate. The toxic pollutants released from the burning these fuels are also a cause for concern. They are polluting also, they're polluting the environment also. So unchecked burning of fossil fuel is like an unchecked dripping tap which will eventually run dry. This has led to the tapping of various non-conventional sources of energy that are cleaner alternative to fossil fuel. So that's why there's a need to switch on to the non-conventional sources which are less polluting and cheap also. So then next comes hydropower. So hydropower, you know very well what is hydropower. Hydropower is the power which we get from water. So Norway was the first country in the world to develop hydroelectricity. So rainwater or river water stored in dam is made to fall from heights. The falling water flows through pipes inside the dam over the turbine blades placed at the bottom of the dam. The moving blades then turn the generator to produce the electricity. This is called hydroelectricity. The water discharged after the generation of electricity is used for irrigation. 1/4 of the world's electricity is produced by hydropower. The leading producers of hydropower in the world are Paraguay, Norway, Brazil, and China. Some important hydropower stations in India are Bhakra Nangal, Gandhi Sagar, Nagarjun Sagar, and Damodar Valley projects. So the site of the world's first solar and wind powered bus shelter is in Scotland. So this is the diagram how it works. So this is the water reservoir where the water is being stored and it is made to fall on the turbine, and it moves the blades of the turbine, and here the electricity is generated and it is sent to the grid and then into the powerhouses, and then it goes to our houses. Okay, so this is a barrier which is built to slow down the water, and the water is stored here. Okay. The next is non-conventional sources of energy. The increasing use of fossil fuels is leading to its shortage. It is estimated that if the present rate of consumption continues, the reserves of these fuel will get exhausted. Moreover, their use also causes environmental pollution. Therefore, there is need for using non-conventional sources such as solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, which are renewable. So, first source of non-conventional source of energy is solar energy. So what happens is that sun's heat and light energy can be felt by us every day. Solar energy tapped from the sun can be used in solar cells to produce electricity. We can use solar energy, and many of these cells are joined into solar panels. So solar panels are the combination of the solar cells to generate electricity. So in the table also you can see here that wind energy advantages and disadvantages are given. The advantages are these are non-polluting, low cost, safe and clean. Disadvantages: noise pollution, windmills costly to set up and disturbs radio and TV reception. These are harmful to birds also. Solar energy, tidal energy, nuclear energy, biogas and geothermal energy. So you can read it out. Then the technology of utilizing solar energy benefits a lot of tropical countries that are blessed with abundant sunshine. So you know that tropical countries, they get direct sunlight, so they have abundant sunshine. There it can be used, but it has drawbacks that it cannot be used in the areas where there is rain. Moreover, mostly there are cloudy days, so when there is no sun, so then it is very difficult to harness this solar energy. It can be used in solar heaters, solar cookers, solar dryers, besides being used for community lighting and traffic signals. So it can be useful as an alternative source, but we cannot completely depend on the solar energy because it depends on the weather conditions also. Then wind energy. So wind is an inexhaustible source of energy. It will not exhaust. Windmills have been used for grinding grain and lifting water since times immemorial. In modern time windmills, the high speed winds rotate the windmill, which is connected to a generator to produce electricity. So you can see that these windmills are located near the sea, or you can say on the hilly areas where a lot of wind is blowing all the time. So wind farms having clusters of such windmills are located in coastal regions and in mountain passes. So wind farms are found in Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, UK, USA and Spain are noted for their wind energy production. So this is the activity which you can perform on the solar cooker also. Then nuclear power. Nuclear power is obtained from energy stored in the nuclear atoms of naturally occurring radioactive elements. Some elements are there which naturally decay on its own. The nucleus keeps on breaking. There's lot of energy which is emitting from the fission of the nuclei. So these fuels undergo nuclear fission in nuclear reactors and emit power. So that power is being used. There's lot of heat is produced, which is making the water hot, and then steam is generated, and that steam is made to rotate the turbine. The greatest producers of nuclear power are USA and Europe. In India, Rajasthan and Jharkhand have large deposits of uranium. Thorium is found in large quantities in the monazite sands of Kerala. The nuclear power stations in India are located in Kalpakkam in Tamil Nadu, Tarapur in Maharashtra, Ran Pratap Sagar in Kota in Rajasthan, Narora in Uttar Pradesh and Kaiga in Karnataka. Then geothermal energy is also, geo means related to earth, thermal means heat. So the heat energy which is obtained from the earth is called geothermal energy. The temperature in the interior of the earth rises steadily as we go deeper. You know that we have different layers of the earth, that is the crust, then mantle and the core, and as you go deeper into the earth, it is very hot. Sometimes this heat energy may surface itself in the form of hot springs. So what happens that sometimes inside the earth, when there is lot of pressure is generated, so that vapors are coming to the surface. So when they are coming on the surface, and if suppose there is a water on the top of the surface, that will make the water hot. So that is why the water starts boiling when these vapors are coming from inside of the earth, and they are making the water boil, and it can be used as for different purposes. So this heat energy can be used to generate power. So you can see here the examples are given. Geothermal energy in the form of hot springs has been used for cooking, heating and bathing for several years, but it is not used for generating electricity, because these areas where this geothermal energy is being taken out, that is quite far away from the city areas. So that's why its little drawback is there, but it can be used for some other purposes like cooking, heating and bathing. So USA has the world's largest geothermal power plants, followed by New Zealand, Iceland, Philippines and Central America. In India also we have geothermal plants located in Manikaran in Himachal Pradesh and Puga Valley in Ladakh. The next is tidal energy. Tidal energy is also a kind of non-conventional sources, but it depends on the level of the water. So you know that high tide and low tide is there in the seas due to the gravitational pull of the sun, moon and the earth. So when there is high tide, so these dams are built near the coastal areas where there's high tide when it is coming. So during the high tide you can see that in the dams there are big holes. So in that holes there's a turbine moving in. So that turbine is which is placed inside the holes. When high tide is coming, very fast water is coming, so that is making the turbine move, and that will produce the electricity. Okay, that will rotate the generator will get switched on and it will produce electricity, but not in the case of low tide. So it depends on the high tide and the low tide, and moreover it has disadvantages that it can destroy the wildlife also. Okay, and the fish and other aquatic animals can get crushed in the turbines also. So energy generated from tides is called tidal energy. Tidal energy can be harnessed by building dams at narrow openings of the sea. So during high tide, what is happening? During high tide, the energy of the tides is used to turn the turbine installed in the dam to produce electricity. Russia, France and the Gulf of Kutch in India have huge tidal mill farms. Last is biogas. So biogas, organic waste such as dead plant and animal material, animal dung and kitchen waste can be converted into a gaseous fuel called biogas. Okay, so it can be you'll say that here this in this tank it is put all the material which is mentioned here, that is slurries. What is slurry? It is organic waste such as dead plant and animal material, animal dung and kitchen waste mixed with some water, that is called slurry, which is put in this tank and then it goes into the main digester tank. So in this tank the bacteria are acting upon that slurry and then they are producing gases. Methane gas is produced. So methane gas directly goes to the outside to the homes from this outlet, and then the leftover material is used as a manure, which is used as a fertilizer. So it is called biogas. The organic waste is decomposed by bacteria in biogas digesters to emit biogas, which is essentially what is biogas? It is a mixture of methane and carbon dioxide. So biogas is an excellent fuel for cooking and lighting and produces huge amount of organic manure each year. So energy is everywhere. You see that we have studied energy it is everywhere and we are using it, but we can see that harnessing this energy is both difficult as well as costly. So each one of us can make a difference by not wasting energy. Energy saved is energy generated. So act now and make brighter energy future. So this is all about the chapter. Thank you very much.